everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're standing outside of the museum of the city of Warsaw. And boy, there's a lot to see here. We're not going to show you all of it. We're going to give you a snapshot of it because it's a 2 or 3 hour tour, or longer if you just want to sit there. There's so many things to see. In fact, they call it the things of the city of Warsaw. And the reason they call it the things is because there's a lot of stuff to see. Look. You've got a room of clocks and watches. You've got a room of all kinds of objects of everyday life. You've got a room of patriotic items and a room of relics, a room of packaging, just showing you how people used to package things. There's portraits. There's a vast room of silverware, and there's another room of medals, a room of bronze sculptures. There's a room of clothing, which is pretty amazing, but we didn't have the right lighting to show it to you. There's a room of photographs, which is really exceptionally exciting, and a film about Warsaw before and after the war. So there are a lot of things to see here. And you can also take some headphones in various languages, all the major languages of the world, from Japanese to English, and you can go on your own personal tour of the place. So don't be afraid of any language problems that you might face if you don't speak Polish. Behind me, you'll see the entrance. And I think my friend is waiting for me there. Yes, it's Peter Chemachowski. Look at all these people. He's like, this is prime tourist season. And there's so many tourists here about in the square, as you can see, just throngs of people, which is good to see. I'll go join Peter and stay with us.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah. You ready to go in?
Absolutely. Please.
Warsaw's Old Town. In 1945, it lay in ruins, 90% destroyed. In 1980, its reconstruction was completed. It was completed to such precise dimensions that years later, UNESCO made it an international landmark. In fact, the reconstruction was handled with such spectacular precision that it almost defies the imagination. It's a testament not only to good fortune, but to those who managed to save the architectural drawings and plans for the old city. When you visit Warsaw's Old Town, you are visiting the only place like it in the world, a completely reconstructed, painstakingly. In this sense, you might say it's even more Disneyland than Disneyland. It is simply a marvel. In this series of episodes, we'll be taking you to the Warsaw City Museum, and we'll be walking around the Old Town and the Market Square and hitting the highlights. We hope you'll get some sense of the Old Town's history and its present-day life. Come with us for a walk through living history in Warsaw's fantastic Old Town.
The capital of a nation of rich customs, many religions and nationalities, many cultures. New houses, new districts. A city looking to the future, which after centuries of suffering can't be bad. A beautiful, sun-filled summer. Joyful moments, warm feelings, the best hopes. Catastrophe draws closer, which no one senses apart from those who are initiated into the secret. the sudden end to a historic episode of normality, the German attack on Poland, war, the painful awakening of Warsaw, the desire to defend her buildings, traditions, her beauty. 20,000 volunteers dig trenches. The first death, destruction, a month of resistance and battles on the streets. And the city flows on wings of fame and falls like a stone on the heart, the poet was to write. The balance for the city's defense: 6,000 soldiers killed, 25,000 civilians killed, 12% of the city totally destroyed. %, destruction. The 700 years old town, only a trace on the ground. A poet sighs, there's no more Ujazdowski Avenue, a Golgotha of valor remains. I will designate the Avenue of Hope and the Bridge of Victory. There are no houses, no water, electricity, no sewers. There are mines which must be removed, an ocean of rubble. But there is also love for this city. Slowly life returns. It's necessary to start from zero. There's literally nothing. Like the earlier battle, so it is now with the rebuilding, the will of the entire nation. After a year of being a wasteland, 250,000 people are already living on Warsaw's left bank. 10 years later, Poland's capital will again number 1 million inhabitants. They say that there are no miracles. Then what is this city on the Vistula?
And this is as good a place as any to begin our tour of Warsaw's Old Town. I'm here with Peter Chemachowski, and this film we've just been watching gives you some idea of what Warsaw was like before and then immediately after World War II. Before, a vibrant European capital, and after the war, a city which, to all intents and purposes, does not exist. Particularly the Old Town, which we're going to be looking at, the Old Market Square particularly, and through the history of Warsaw in this museum, the Warsaw City Museum, we will get an overview of the growth of the city over time and its rebuilding. Because when you talk about Disneyland, this is the real Disneyland. I mean, this is a Magic Kingdom recreated painstakingly in the post-war years by architects using old records and plans, building plans that existed and were saved for exactly this purpose, to rebuild the city after its destruction. Talk about forward planning. Of course, today the city is a modern capital with some of the highest skyscrapers existing in Europe and also planned for Europe outside of Moscow. So we're going to have a very nice tour today and in the next few episodes of Warsaw, the city, its history, its destruction, and more on its history, something about its destruction, and of course its rebuilding, because everything you're going to see in the old town was completely rebuilt after the war. So stay with us on Poland Daily Travel. I'm Will, and this is Peter, and we're going to take you for a little ride.